Jack, obviously a great result for you today. Also, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, your first IndyCar race in the wet. How'd you like it?
It was a bit more of a handful than I kind of would have hoped for. I think we looked like we were running pretty good in the dry. Honestly, I thought I had the best start I've had in IndyCar too. To be able to split Felix and Scott at the start was pretty solid. And then I think we ran on pace, top 3 in the dry. Car was great. I think Scott was a little quicker than us at the start of the stints. Felt like he came back to us at the end. And then all race, you could see a few spots of rain always around, and it's just difficult in that moment. And I'm sure Scott's been in this situation many times because you don't become a 5-time series champion without going through a thing or two. And maybe he was a little bit more ready for it than I was, because I was always trying to push as hard as I could without jeopardizing the good result that I felt like we were on the cusp of getting. And then it really rained and came down, and again, I think when the track was really wet, I think we lacked a little bit of raw pace. I mean, he blew past us. Well, past us. He blew in front of us, by about a second a lap. That being said, at the end again, when the track started to dry out, he came back to us. So I think it was very much a race of ebb and flow. But to qualify third, to finish third, I think was a result that if you'd have offered it to us before the weekend started, we would have taken it. And hopefully this is just that springboard, for us for first off for May. Hopefully it gives us some good momentum throughout the rest of this month, but also, looking forward to the future for the end of 2019 and looking forward to 2020. I think everybody at Meyershank Racing, has done an absolutely fantastic job. Our pseudo team in Arrow Schmidt-Peterson Motorsport, I think this weekend our car's been good all the time, and it's great to put on this level of performance to AutoNation and to SiriusXM. So pretty happy.
You're obviously, there's no question, a very experienced driver, but as you gain more and more experience within the NTT IndyCar series, how helpful is it to you, and how cool, honestly, is it to you to be mixing it up for wins with series champions like Simon Pagenaud and Scott Dixon?
Well, I mean, it's a balance for us because, we're excited to be here. You're trying to take as much risk as you can without jeopardizing anything, because when you're doing 10 races, but at the same time, in the same breath, we don't just want to be one of the cars. And I think we showed that today, is that, yes, we're happy to finish third, but we're going to push, and, if second's available, we're going to go for it. So I think this was a really exciting result for us today, because if we could do a full season drive, in 2020, to mix it with, Simon and to Scott would be great. If you could do it, more weekends than you don't, then good things will happen at the end of the year. But I mean, to share the podium with both of those guys, I think is pretty special. Our first podium in IndyCar today, and hopefully it's the first of a few. And we're just going to keep using it as keep learning, get more experience, and hopefully it won't be as much of a shock when we get in here again.
Absolutely. Questions for Jack? Yes, Bruce, and then Aaron.
Even in the dark, you could see Simon's car because of how bright it is. So.
Yeah.
But when he was closing in on you, did you feel like you might be able to hold him off, or did you just realize that he's got the setup right now?
I think there was a matter of time. There's a few laps where I thought we could hold him off, and then you talk about a bright car. I just suddenly into turn one saw this yellow dart suddenly just arrived straight at the apex, and thought, oh, I mean, that was pretty brave. Thank God his car's so bright. But clearly Simon, had a very quick car today. I mean, we were racing together in the dry, we were racing together in the wet. He had a bit more pace than we did at the end there, and I thought his move on Scott was pretty good too. I was a little bit behind it, but around the outside in turn 8, and then obviously on the inside for 9, it was a pretty stout day. And I think briefly I heard Scott mention it. You see how much it means, and to win just a race. Because it's so difficult all the time. I think we've been on the edge of a good result like this for a little while, but actually trying to gel those pieces of that puzzle together have been tricky. So that's why I think you have to enjoy every podium, every win that come, especially in this place, because I feel like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a racing driver's neverland. It's where we come to try and not get old. And did I think we could hold him off? I mean, yeah, I certainly hoped we could. but in the end we couldn't quite.
Jack, we had some of your pit crew chatter on the NBC broadcast, and they were talking a lot about a plan, stick to the plan. But surely, with how complicated this race was, that went out the window. So how did you stay up front, and maybe how much did that plan go out the window?
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to address this with them after as well, because they said stick to the plan, but before the race we had about 4 plans, and I was like, which plan are we sticking to? You know, and in the end, you know, there was multiple scenarios that, you know, we had chatted about that could happen. Indiana weather, you know, really played its part today, and you know, how I think I mean, honestly, they timed it perfect, because as I was coming out of the pit lane, is when I think there was a yellow flag, and at that point, you know, the rain kept coming, and I thought, oh, we must be in good position now. I think sticking to the plan is more about not panicking, you know, and just, you know, we've chatted about it. Here's what we're going to do. If this situation comes up, stay calm, stay composed, and let's get it to the end of the race.
Wolfgang?
Jack, congratulations for the big, great results, both qualifying and race. I have a more business-related question. You think with this good results in your home country, in England, you can pick up additional sponsorship despite the confusing Brexit situation?
Sorry, did you say despite Brexit?
Yeah, this
sounds like a trap question. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone really knows what's going on with Brexit, do they? You know, as a starting point. I mean, I think you know, internationally, I think IndyCar's fan base is growing as well. You know, it's very cool that everybody can watch IndyCar races on Sky this year, Sky Sports F1. So the fact that it's even on TV and hopefully people are watching it, I think is a great thing, you know, for the series in general. And hopefully, if the right person is watching on the right day and they see us get a result, if we could just get in contact with them somehow, then, you know, certainly we're always pushing to have support from home. You know, I think it's just going to be a case of how do we find them? Are they interested? And in the end, you know, the approach is no different than, you know, when we're trying to look for sponsors anywhere in the world. It's, you know, are you interested? Can we work together? What can we do together? And I think just the, you know, business-related answer, I think hopefully results like this are what help catapult us into a full-time drive. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Brexit's got so complicated that I've stopped following it. So yeah, if someone knows what's going on, then you can feel free to bring me up to speed on it, because I think that's more confusing than how the race played out.
Robin?
Hey, Jack, just talk about how the difference between trying to run 4 or 5 races spaced out by 4 or 5 or 6 months and what you've been able to do so far this year, and consistency and just getting into a groove.
Yeah, I mean, you know, from last year at Sonoma to exactly today, I mean, we haven't missed any testing, we've not missed any practicing, we've not missed anything. You know, our schedule slows down a little bit after the 500, but for me, the momentum that I've been able to gain, the confidence just by being in the car, you know, at least as often as everybody else, has been great, because, you know, things feel normal to me. Then the next weekend I can go out and immediately start working on, you know, techniques that have been issues, or, you know, this is how I'm going to find speed, be a bit smoother here, think about this braking shape, or whatever it is. That being said, I think it's really helpful for the team as well. I thought our pit stops looked pretty solid today. Just the way that we operationally are working, you know, the whole team really are gelling, are in sync, and it just, unfortunately, it takes time. You know, and I think this year, you know, I look at the season so far, and, you know, without my drive-through penalty in Barber, which was just a self-inflicted error, I think we would have had, you know, 4 top 10s in 5 races, which that would have been pretty awesome at the start of the year. If you said, hey, you're gonna achieve that, would you take it now? And we absolutely would have all taken it now. So you know, I don't think it's exclusive just to the driver on, you know, building a rhythm, feeling comfortable, gaining more confidence. You know, I think that applies to the team as well. And I see Mike in the background. Maybe he could enlighten us on that too. But I mean, this team it's gelling, you know, and I think we all feel like we've been right on the edge of this result. And I think the difference is today, instead of talking about it, we showed it.
Jack, you know, you drive for Mike Shank Racing, and you talked about how great the team was today with their stops. But can you talk about how important the collaboration is with Aero Schmidt-Peterson?
Yeah, I mean, it's a total team effort. You know, the way that me and Mike even got together is an interesting story, but ultimately, I think we believed in each other enough to embark on this adventure together. It was always a 2-year deal, 6 races last year, 10 races this year, and we hope it might build into something bigger again in 2020. I think trying to do it with Harvey Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports has been great. You know, I raced Indy Lights with Sam, so I know a lot of people there. I did 2 races in 17 with them as well. So I think again, you know, it's just piecing good people with good people, and clearly the car's been good. So being able to have that technical relationship with them, I think has proved to be quite a big help. You know, we're just going to keep refining it. Sorry. You know, and keep improving on every aspect that we can, and you know, our relationship with them, you know, what we're doing as well, and like always, just trying to build as nice a jigsaw puzzle as we can with the pieces that we have.
Chris?
Jack, is there any way to compare the emotion you feel today to what you felt at St. Petersburg after you got your first top 10 finish?
Oh, this is way cooler. Yeah, I'm going to remember this for a while. These kind of days are what we work so hard for, you know, from all the off-season, you know, bad result at Long Beach, which, you know, frankly wasn't anything to do with, wasn't our mistake, but it happens, that's racing. You know, but the thing is as well, these results are what really can carry you through a bad time, especially coming into May. You know, we are hopeful that it is the springboard for a good month. We all said it before the weekend started, that a good result here really sets us on the right path. You know, and it's as special a day as I can remember, because, you know, again, as Scott said earlier, it's so difficult to come and compete at this level. You know, you're racing against the best drivers in the world, you know, in what was difficult conditions today. So I was absolutely thrilled that we you know, that we got that result, and selfishly, I think it's nice that we can go, you know, back to everyone at Meyer-Shank Racing, back to everyone at Harvey Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, AutoNation, SiriusXM, and say I can do this. You know, I can compete at that level. I can get the results. Thank you for your trust in me. Let's do it more often. You know, and you know, it's that result that for me anyway. It's just it's nice to be able to go and, you know, hang your hat on nicely and take confidence from it and say, right, let's do it more often, because, you know, how we feel tonight and, you know, how we're going to feel in about 2 hours' time is going to be pretty awesome.
Piggybacking on exactly what you just said, I'm kind of putting you on your spot here. One of your bosses is in the room now.
Yeah, careful what I say.
This team has some sort of magic skill to add races after a partial season program, most notably on the sports car side of things. Is that totally out of the question with your program?
I mean, I'll give you my personal stance on it, and, you know, me and Michael have chatted about it. I think I mean, I'm available every weekend that IndyCar's going racing if need be. So, you know, for as much as I try and focus on just my driving aspects, you know, we do have those conversations. We'll see what Shimmy and shakes out. But, you know, I think for all of us collectively, we're 2020 focused. But if the right opportunity came up to add another one in 2019, then certainly I'm game for it.
Thank you, and congrats.
Thank you.
And just to make this super official so Jack can have it in writing later for the transcript, that was a yes, it could happen. For
Yeah,
Michael
I said
Hank in the back.
that.
Another question I probably need to be careful of, since he is standing in the back of the room, but it seems that every driver that drives for Mike Shank, whether it be the late Justin Wilson or A.J. Allmendinger or yourself, they all come away thinking, man, he's a great guy to race for. What is it about Mike Shank that makes him, I mean, not only do you guys race for him, you end up becoming friends with him.
Certainly. Stayed at his house before, you know. It's hard to say, because, I mean, he stood right in the room. I'm going to be accused of having some brown on my nose if I say too many nice things. I mean, honestly, Michael's a great guy, you know, and what he instills in himself funnels through the team. So, you know, I remember one of the first tests we went to, he was up in the top of the roof of the trailer trying to help the guys load the car in. You know, and I think when people say you get out what you put in, you know, Mike is a great leader. He leads by example. He sets the tone. You know, I think he holds us all accountable in the right way. That being said, he encourages all when we need it. And you know, before the weekend started, he's like, we can do it this weekend. I just know we can. I'm like, yeah, I think so too. And he's like, no, I really think we can. And you know, the thing that I've appreciated about Mike from the very first phone call we had way back in, must have been April 2017, is, you know, we have a very open and honest relationship. You know, I tell him when things are bothering me, he tells me when things are bothering him, and together we find a great solution. And I absolutely love everybody at his racing team. Everybody at MyShank Racing has really embraced me as, you know, what feels like a small team, and I feel like I'm a part of that. You know, I love to come and support the team at the IMSA races too. There's no one else on the grid I'd rather be racing for, and certainly the goal from all of us is to just expand our current program into 2020. And you know what I said about Mike when I was told that that's who we were going to be racing with in the 500 in 2017 is he's a winner. You know, he wins at pretty much everything he does, and he's competitive, and that's contagious, and you want to be around it, and frankly, you want to win for him. So you know, I'm happy to contribute a trophy to his cabinet, and hope it's the first one of a few.
Any final questions for Jack? Yes, Chris.
You finished second in the Indy Lights Championship 2 years in a row, and then the next year you don't have a ride. How much of a comeback is this for you, knowing that where you came from and where you are now?
It's a big one, bigger one than I would have admitted before I got a podium. You know, it's not easy coming to the track and watching everybody else race when you're sat on the sidelines. That being said, I'm extremely lucky, especially I owe a lot to two people in particular, my manager Bob Perona, Mark Cannon from Autonation. I think those two guys really saved my career. You know, they both stuck with us in a time where I desperately needed somebody. And you know, we worked really hard to try and put the 500 together in 2017, and you know, we did, you know, along with what was then still Michael Shank Racing, you know, and Andretti Autosport. You know, you look back at that moment as a real pivotal step, and one that I needed. You know, and this personally gives me a lot of confidence, because you know, it's been a little while since we were competing, you know, week in, week out. A lot of you know, I haven't gone short of opportunities, which I'm grateful for. But it's, you know, being thrown in the deep end all the time is tricky, and you know, you don't always get the results, and you lose a little bit of confidence and whatnot. Where, you know, this weekend I knew we were going to be good coming into it. You know, we delivered on that, and I think just for me alone, I feel like this is a big confidence boost. That, you know, not arrogantly, but just in a humble way. That, you know, I talk about showing it to ourselves, but I just showed myself that I can come and compete at this level. And you know, I'm very lucky with the people I surround myself with at the track and at home. You know, they haven't let me ever lose sight of that and my talent. But you know, sometimes you've got to prove it to yourself. And you know, sat next to a piece of trophy is a nice thing. And third's great, but first probably is even greater. So I think everyone saw how happy we were and how happy we are to finish third. But to win is still the goal. So still a little bit of work left to do.
And we'll take our final question from Wolfgang.
Yes, Jack, it was said earlier that your team has an alliance or cooperation with Schmidt-Peters. Nevertheless, MSR Michael Shank Racing is a one-car team. Is it difficult just to be yourself and not compare any experience or note with a second driver?
I think that's what makes a good team, is that, you know, when we get in the engineering room, that we operate, you know, two teams but as a three-car effort. You know, James and Marcus are both great teammates to have. They both have a lot of experience in, you know, multiple different racing forms. James is a, you know, long-term INDYCAR race winner and, you know, seasoned veteran, and Marcus has been in Formula One for several years. So, I mean, they bring a lot of experience to the team, a lot of good ideas, and, you know, we push and bounce around different ideas. We push each other to be better. You know, some weekends each of us have just a little bit of edge, but I can tell you that we all work extremely hard to try and be the one who's got the edge. I think what makes a successful team is, you know, being competitive with each other, being fair with each other, but also to a lot of a degree being open with each other. What was good, what was bad, what worked, what didn't work, and how collectively we get the best possible results. I think the perfect day for the whole team is if we lock out the podium just with the 5, the 7, and the 60 car, and that's what we're going to keep working hard to try and do.
Jack, congratulations to you and the team. We'll
Thank
see you in
you.
a couple days.
Cheers.